look like such a babushka with my round cheekbones and this hood on.
The fact that you just said babushka. Penis.
What?
I don't know.
Okay, stop making that face. You're making me laugh.
It's just my eyes.
I can imagine the rest of your face. Okay, anyway, welcome to Movie Pain or Pleasure Podcast, the show that appears to be one thing, but is another. She's making me laugh. I'm taking this bandana off. I can't talk with this thing over my face.
I can't see out this damn thing.
I can't see out this fucking thing. So, anyway, hi, I'm Melanie, your co-host. It's 7 o'clock. I want to rock. I want to get a belly full of beer. That song will come into play later. I swear it has something to do with this podcast. I am drinking a Texas Blonde Imperial Pineapple from Wild Acre Brewery right here in Fort Worth, Texas. And I'm joined by either Sub-Zero or who are you supposed to be, AJ Wall?
I don't... Robin Hood's supposed to be green, but he was wearing a lot of black. He did have a blue ascot, so...
Yeah, okay, so since we're giving our audience no context, why don't we talk about what we're going to talk about?
So, Robin Hood exists.
But let's back up a little bit. It's 2017 or 2018, and we're out seeing a movie, and the previews come on, and at first it looks like kind of old English style. There's a young man shooting arrows. He's running through alleys. He's stealing stuff.
It seems... We got way too excited.
Because I thought they were making a movie of The Lives of Locke Lamora, which I'm holding up the book so you can see it. And I'll put it on Instagram, too. This is us in a series called the Gentleman Bastard series by Scott Lynch. And it's a good fantasy series for... I hate fantasy. I hate it. It insists upon itself. It's so dorky. But I love this series. I love Game of Thrones. And this even more, I think, is good for non-fantasy people because it's not about wizards and dragons and magic. There's some magic in it, but not that much. But anyway, I thought, oh, snap, they're making a movie of Locke Lamora.
Yeah, I remember leaning over and whispering, "Is this going to be Locke Lamora?
Is this going to be Locke Lamora?"
Which,
no.
Luckily, no, because Scott Lynch has been taking a minute on the last book, and I don't want another Game of Thrones situation.
I'm sorry we wasted your time. I'm sorry we wrote this in like 6 days or something. Fuck season 8.
So.
Yeah. So it was not The Lives of Locke Lamora. It was Robin Hood from 2018.
Yay!
We did not watch it in the theater, which I'm very glad we didn't spend money on that. We ended up watching it on HBO, and we've since watched it a second time, and I try not to let my second view cloud my thoughts too much, because usually the second time I'm like, oh, okay, this isn't so bad. No, it was terrible. This is a really bad movie.
I enjoyed it more the second time, though.
Yeah, I enjoyed it more. It's still a bad movie. It's just, the writing is shoddy. The acting is okay. They have some big names. Taron Egerton, Jamie Foxx, Ben Mendelsohn. Big names.
I think we landed, this is
writing.
a guilty hate watch.
It's kind of, it's not so much fun that I would say, ooh, let's watch Robin Hood. We haven't watched Robin Hood in a while. I don't need to see it again.
But, we enjoyed it for it being so stupid. But it also had a few, fight the imperialism shit that seemed very modern.
They made a few good kind of, not anti-capitalist, but anti-government, anti-establishment statements that I thought were pretty ballsy for the movie. And it had the best, that was 3 syllables. God, my accent came out hard. And I can't even do it, God. Plus, it had the best music sequence that we've ever done. And I don't mean by the music in the movie, I mean us playing music over a sequence in the movie.
We gotta find out a name for that. Our music mashup thing that we do.
Music mashup, something like that. So let's...
we'll tell you about
when we get
to
it. All right. So, do you want to start talking about it?
The narrator sucks.
Yeah, talk about the narrator.
I hate the narrator.
The narrator was condescending, I ain't gonna tell you what date it is. You don't even want to pay attention.
The narrator was a dick. He's like, you're a fucking lot of nubs. Or knobs, not nubs.
He did call us knobs.
Yeah, knobs. You bunch of stupid knobs. They were like, well, forget the stories and the histories you heard.
He
Even
said
though,
that like 3 times, like, this ain't the story you heard in your childhood.
like, one, calm down, Oliver Twist. Two, Robin Hood is not history, so I don't know why the fuck they threw in, this ain't the histories you learned in your schools.
No, it's like, it's
And
a folk
three,
tale.
they were like, okay, so this is the real Robin Hood, finally. This isn't the other real Robin Hood you've seen before, like with Russell Crowe, where it was somewhat plausible. This is the real story of Nottingham, with fire exploding through the streets for no reason. And modern clothes.
Yeah.
Marilyn Monroe was in it, sort of.
Yeah, one of my issues with this is that I'm fine with kind of, different interpretations on a time period or having a very distinct style. This was supposed to be during the Crusades, so it was during the Middle Ages. It was way too clean.
It was...
I needed people covered in shit.
It would be between, like, 1180 and 1200. It's, like, somewhere in there.
Something like that. But
or it should be.
It looked like a high school one-act play in the set... And in the costumes were very sleek and clean, and I think a better made movie could pull that off.
The costumes didn't even match each other, though.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of consistency.
It looked like a poor school was going to put on a play, and they're like, look guys, everyone bring, your character, do your best to bring something the character would wear.
One time my theater teacher said, just create a semblance of costume. This was before we were doing one-act play competition, and we hadn't made the final costumes or anything. He was just basically, go find something to put on. So, a bunch of high school kids out in West Texas, we're going to find the craziest stuff. And that's what it looked like.
It's a Renaissance, so I'll wear like a button-up shirt and a bandana around my neck.
But it's not the Renaissance, it's the Middle Ages. People should be covered in their own filth. But they're not.
Well, that too.
Okay, so... There is it starts out as like, this ain't no story about a thief, but it's about another thief. Nah. So we see this pretty woman hop into the stables, and we think, ooh, she's the thief. And she gets...
Well, that's not the first thing we thought.
What's the first thing we thought?
So she turns around, and I was like, hello, woman, because I don't know why. You could just tell it was a female, and she had
because of her dark black eyeliner that was so prevalent in the Middle Ages.
She had her makeup done, like, hella thick. And so I'm like, hello, woman. And then I hear behind me, hello, tits. Because she's wearing this, like, skimpy little triangle cutout with the laces. And then Robin walks in, Robin of Locksley, and he's like, I have the same laces on my shirt.
Basically, he had the same shirt. So Robin comes in and stops her, and she's
Except, he was which one was which? Was he in blue and she was in red? It was one or the other.
Opposite.
Okay, because...
He was in red and she was in blue.
Okay.
That's why we're cosplaying this today.
That's why I wrote in my notes, make purple.
Yeah, he's like, hey, you want to mix it?
Get together.
You're blue, I'm red, want to make some purple? So he's just asking her what she's doing. She's like, there's a poor person, he needs a horse. So then she talks about, some scrub who lives in the manor, and he's like, I'm that loser scrub who lives in the manor. And then immediately they're just all over each other.
So she stole his horse, so obvious true love.
Yeah, so she is Marion.
Also, she does a terrible accent the whole movie.
I think that's just her natural accent. So Marion is
awful.
Marion is played by Eve Hewson, who is Bono's daughter.
She should have just done it. Like, she should have just been Irish. It's so light that the whole time, the only sound of what she says is Irish is the last word in a sentence.
She sounded
and
Irish and American. And I thought that might have just been her natural accent. Maybe she spent some of her childhood in the United States.
Well, it sounds terrible in a movie like this.
Anyway, yeah, everybody's accents are all over the place. So they fall in love, but then immediately... Now, the narrator is telling us this the whole time. They could have just showed it to us, but they had to tell us, too, that right when he was about to, get some with this pretty lady, he gets drafted to fight probably the Third Crusade, something like that.
He was drafted out of fucking...
Yeah, just about to knock on the door, you're drafted. So he goes to Arabia to fight the King's War, the Crusades, which are just another bullshit war in the name of religion, which any violence done in the name of any religion is a bunch of bullshit. All of it. All throughout history, it's all a bunch of bullshit. Crusades were bullshit too.
It was for the loot.
It was for the loot, as Sidney Greenstreet's character, the Fat Man, said in The Maltese Falcon. I like that he called that out. So anyway, but okay, this can either be distracting or you can appreciate it. The way it's shot and the color scheme and everything looks very much like modern day warfare. Like you could see these guys, it's like American soldiers in Afghanistan.
Like when they were walking in, okay, first, it's kind of fucking stupid because the leader is like, we're going to sneak in here right now, and they're not going to catch us, and Robin is finally going to get what he wants, blah, blah, blah. So they're making fun of him for no reason. But it's like they're going under the cover of bright daylight.
It's broad daylight.
It's like high noon, and they're all... So it's obviously supposed to look like modern day an Iraq war type situation, because they're all with their longbows in this narrow ass hall with pillars and shit in the way, and the whole time it's all arrow fight, which is, it's basically like if you just picture an M16, that's what it would look like.
That's the aesthetic they were going for.
Even what they were wearing, it just looked like a patchy Kevlar vest.
It really did. Now, you know a thing or two about weapons. They would not be in an enclosed space like that. They would not be using a longbow.
One, they would all have a chain or a male hallbark, which is just a male shirt. They would have a male shirt. They wouldn't have this padded shit. They might have a gambeson, but you wouldn't see that.
What's a gambeson?
It's basically like old school Kevlar. It's just linens stacked on top of each other until they're so thick it's hard to stab you through them. It's kind of cool. Anyway, at no point, the whole time I was like, pull out a sword! Pull out a sword!
Never.
And they're in this little bitty hallway, like...
And then the Arabs see them, and the Arabs are badass because they basically have automatic weapons. They have this crossbow that just... It fires like an automatic weapon. It's pretty cool.
Joffrey would just bust if he saw these fucking catapult things, these scorpions.
So then there's fire, basically a firestorm of arrows that I don't think they couldn't really move that fast.
No, and it's like...
Again, with the modern day warfare aesthetic, I think that's what they were trying to go.
There's arrows flying straight through walls and shit.
Yeah, like straight through
thick
rock.
Sandstone fucking walls. And then in the midst you see that one of the... they just say Arabians. I hate that they're just like Arabia. But one of them's Jamie Foxx, and he's just a badass, and he's the only one that can sort of get away from Robin. And then... they, like, corner him, and he gets his hand chopped off.
Well, they capture him, and they take him to basically a POW camp.
That was after they chopped his hand off.
Yeah, they chopped his hand off, which, ugh.
They're like, bro, he was, like, the best shooter ever, and he just, like...
Yeah, so they chop his hand
off.
They
Jamied him.
Jamie Lannister.
Yeah.
Jamie Foxx, Jamie Lannister. Okay, so they Jamie Lannister his hand, and they take him to a POW camp where the English soldiers are torturing all the Arabs for information on their shitty holy war, which is... Everybody involved was stupid. Everybody was stupid in it. Don't fight over religion. It's stupid and pointless. Anyway, so they are chopping dudes' heads off, and they have this poor young man up to a block, and they're going to chop his head off, and John, he turns out to be John.
Wow.
Jamie Foxx is screaming, no, that's my son, and Robin is starting to he's starting to realize the humanity of it.
They're all assholes.
He thinks this is wrong. He doesn't want them to chop the kid's head off, which they do. And so Robin helps them all escape.
So they shoot him in the stomach.
His commanding officer shoots him in the stomach because he's a lord, so he's not going to get as harsh a punishment. And so they send him on a hospital boat back to England.
No swords pulled.
No, just arrows.
Again, bow and arrow. It's so weird.
I'm like, we get it as Robin Hood, bow and arrow.
I like bow and arrow, but like every single thing... I did like one thing. The English people had long bows, and the Arab people had like short recurve bows, which made a lot of sense.
Why?
Because that historically they would actually have different types of bows like that, and they were in a short... When you're in a short distance, you don't need big long bows because those shoot farther. Those are heavier weights. So if you have a short recurve bow and you're in small enclosed spaces, that would actually make more sense because it has a lower draw weight and you can do it really quick.
So inaccuracies in weapons abound.
Yeah, it was really weird.
So Robin comes
Oh,
home. Right?
also stabbing somebody with the bottom of your bow and then shooting somebody else with it. Don't do that. That's not a fucking thing.
It's a thing in this movie. It's a thing in this movie. So Robin makes it back to England, and this is 4 years after he was deployed, so to speak. And he goes home and he finds out his manor has been absolutely trashed, and it was taken seized as property by the evil sheriff of Nottingham.
But not used for some damn reason.
No, he didn't use it. I mean, the sheriff is all about money, but he doesn't use it for anything. It's a trashed, abandoned building. So let's see. My notes are all over the place. So Rob, sometimes he goes by Rob, is just distraught, and he wanders around the poor neighborhood, which always seems to have little explosions going on. They call it the mines. But again, it seems very theatrical. It looks like a play. He's wandering around, and then, this is where it's pretty good. We get to the sheriff of Nottingham, and we see a guy with some rings on. He takes 2 brushes to his hair. This guy has short hair.
That was
He doesn't, and there's a swish of a long leather coat. So this dude's a pimp, and the sheriff...
He has the most modern attire in the whole
He
movie,
really
though.
does. Like, you could see somebody wearing this now. And he's played by Ben Mendelsohn, who is an Australian actor. He usually plays somebody with an English accent. And he is the same prick in every movie. He's usually this climbing the social ladder politician who's always trying to kiss ass, and he's always doing shady things. He was in The Dark Knight Rises, and he got his neck snapped by Bane. He was in Rogue One, and I think at one point he gets choked out by Darth Vader after he tries to kiss his ass, and then he blows up on the planet after they steal the plans. And then he's the sheriff in this movie. So he's always an asshole.
Picture Jeremy Irons if he wasn't cool, less of a backbone, and slimier.
Yeah.
He's basically discount Jeremy Irons.
Yeah.
I know he has a name, but I don't care.
So he's giving a speech to the people, and I kind of love his speech. This is still a crap movie, and woe to anybody who actually paid to see this in the theater. But the sheriff is imposing a war tax, and he says things like, these savages hate our freedom. They hate our religion. They hate our way of life. And if you let them come over here, they'll take over and they will win. And I'm like, oh, gee, that sounds awfully 2001.
And eventually we find out that they're the ones funding them, which sounds an awful lot like a specific government that we happen to be
I feel like the sheriff was just after
bound
oil.
to.
He was just like, he doesn't know what oil is yet, but he knows it's going to be a thing. So.
Oh, you know what? It's like if Dick Cheney was the president. Like, no middleman. No happy, stupid clown Bush. Just
we
Dick
love
Cheney.
you, W. Come back. Just kidding.
Just Dick Cheney, just right in the front.
Yeah, so he's spreading a bunch of propaganda about how they hate our freedom, and I'm like, oh gosh, it's a little close to the bone. And so Marion is like talking shit to him, like, this is dumb. We're taking money from the poor, and he's like, yeah, I know, I'll take money from you. And so Robin decides he's feeling sorry for himself, and he runs into Jamie Foxx, who's I can't remember his character's name.
But
I'm trying to get to the part where he turns into Batman.
I know, but we skipped over when he goes and he sees Marion has moved on.
Oh yeah, okay.
Now she's with Big Dick Richie.
Yeah. My notes weren't very good yesterday, so you need to fill me in.
So before he sees Lil Jon, he goes to this. He's walking through the streets and he sees Marion working at some stall, I guess, where people eat. It was very ill-defined, and she sees his new man, which for some reason
he sees her new man.
Yeah, whatever. For some reason, I dubbed him Big Dick Richie.
Big Dick Richie. His name's really Tom, but he goes by Big Dick Richie.
There's really no reason. He's just like some tall Scotsman. There's nothing special about him, but he keeps coming off like he's got a political career somehow, and he's trying to be the backbone for his people, but I don't really know what he does. Like,
I don't know either.
It's very ill-defined.
A lot of things in this movie are ill-defined.
And that's when he's like, fuck
Except
this.
for the seams on Ben Mendelsohn's leather coat.
Yeah.
That was on point.
That's when he fucks off, and then he runs into Lil Jon. At first he freaks out, because he's like, you're trying to kill me. He's like, I was in the same boat as you for like 3 weeks, so.
I could have killed you then.
Yeah.
So he basically kind of tries to cheer Robin up and is like, let's fight back. And so they go back to the
he
manor.
steals his stave.
I don't know
Like,
what a stave. I
it's
don't
a
know what all
staff.
these weapons are.
It's a staff.
Okay.
It's just a funky looking staff. It looks kind of like an axe handle, but he just like pulls it out of a fucking business over here and then carries it around the rest of the movie. I'm like, you didn't pay for that. Like, also, I feel like it was a little. They were assholes. Like, his name isn't actually John. It's the translation is John, but he says it, and he says it so quick they don't ask us to hear it again. They just go,
That sounds
well,
foreign. I can't say that.
that's a hard one. How about we just go with John? And he's like, okay, we'll go with John.
Yeah, let's just anglicize
Like,
the name.
they do it twice, and like, if you would just say it a little slower, I'm pretty sure everybody could figure it out. Like, I don't know.
Well, no, because the audience would be like, but where's Little John? Where's Little John? And you have the Little John character.
I mean, you could still have him have a nickname, but the fact that they're just like, hey, you people are too stupid and uncultured to say my name. Assholes.
So, anyway, he turns
now
into Batman.
we become Batman now. Like, except more fun, I guess. He starts doing CrossFit. He starts, like, doing his tricep extensions with some fucking water in a well and shit and carrying chains.
So John is training him.
Yeah, because he's like, you're slow as fuck, even though Robin was the best shooter they had. And he's like, well, I'm fast enough to beat you. So he miraculously taught him to put the arrow on the other side.
Yeah,
Whoa.
and I guess this isn't very well explained. Sometimes you just have to figure things out, which, I mean, I don't like too much exposition, but they're so sloppy about it, you sort of have to piece things together. So we get that we know Robin Hood's going to steal from the rich and give to the poor, and their thing is like, well, let's just take the money that they're taxing from the poor and then give it back to them. Although what he's also supposed to do is play, this is where the Batman thing comes in, because John says, yeah, you're going to steal their stuff, but you're going to play the Lord during the day, and you're going to get in good with the sheriff. So then he lives in an absolute dump. So I kept thinking like this. He had to show up with nice clothes and pretend to be Lord of the Manor. So he had to fund that with the money that he stole from the sheriff, which had been stolen from the poor people.
I suppose, unless they reinstated him as Lord, so he had, like, taxes of his own.
Maybe.
They don't talk about it, so we don't talk about it.
I mean, Bruce Wayne doesn't really do much to fund infrastructure in Gotham either.
We don't talk about it.
So yeah, that's the plan, is getting close with the sheriff, figure out all their plans, and then steal their stuff.
Yeah.
And then Friar Tuck comes up at some point, and Marion always looks like she's some chick from The Craft, that 1990s movie about witches.
She's got the eyeliner, and she's got just all the most modern dresses and
She looks
sweaters.
like she's dressing from Hot Topic.
Like, everyone in this looks like they're dressed like today.
Yeah,
like,
it looks like Hot Topic clothes.
The only thing is that they sometimes have laces in the collar, but that's it. That's the only fucking thing.
Yeah. They do give the sheriff a little bit of depth to his character. He's a very angry man.
He hates the Catholic Church.
He hates the church. He hates all the lords, and he tells Robin a story about when he was a poor orphan, and he lived in a home, and he said the lords and the monsignors and the priests used to beat the boys and probably did other things because it was the Catholic Church, and I was raised Catholic, and I can say that because Catholic Church is a big corrupt institution. So he says things like, days like these, I want to stick my thumb through their windpipes. Ew. Since he was abused by the rich and the clergy, so this is kind of his revenge is coming out on top.
I don't even know what that means. Like yeah, or like through
Stick
their,
it down
through
their
their
mouth
gullet.
or through their... I don't know. So Robin discovers that they have a big treasury, the big war chest of money. So that's going to be the big hit.
Yeah, because he did like 3 or 4 small steals, and they're like, this isn't enough. We just gotta go for the big job.
Yeah, so
which he fucks up anyway.
He goes for the big job, and then he doesn't steal anything, but they try to justify it like, oh, he's rousing the people, and the people are like, yeah, sweet, someone tried to rob the treasury, and so they start, the symbol of the hood starts to pop up, and so people will nail it up on a wall like, haha, he's the hero that Gotham needs.
Yeah.
I guess the more and more I think about this, the more it's basically Batman, although Batman never stole from the rich.
Yeah, he probably should.
I mean, he could just take some stuff out of his own pockets.
Actually, that'd be perfect. He could stage Batman stealing Bruce Wayne's fucking money and shit.
What if Bruce Wayne commits insurance fraud? Batman
Ugh.
robs from him, and then Bruce Wayne reports it.
Oh my god, he could get so much
And
money.
he gets bailed out because Bruce Wayne is so rich, he'll get bailed out just like those Wall Street assholes.
He could get so much money.
The government would bail out Bruce Wayne.
Bastards.
Anyway,
So really, they're in the right, because Batman's never wrong. So Jeff Bezos is never wrong.
Okay, if you really want to hear us talk about Batman, go back and watch our episode on the Batman. So anyway, Robin still wants to steal all the money from the Treasury, and he finds out that they're going to have this big, elaborate costume party, and they're going to invite the Cardinal. So, of course, it's decadent. There's money everywhere. People are drinking.
Marilyn Monroe is there.
And the costumes don't make any sense at all.
I'm telling you exactly. We stopped, and Melanie was like, wait, go back. And I thought...
They just have straight up high heels on the women, which wouldn't have existed at the time.
Maybe there's some good looking chick.
It's cokehead 70s
I go
aesthetic.
back, play, and it's just straight up
Take this hood
a
off your
fox
hands off.
fur and a green strapless dress. Like,
Yeah, it's basically like, okay, Michelle Pfeiffer in Scarface, when she's in that green dress, could have fit right in with the look that they had for this party. So, it's Eyes Wide Shut meets Moulin Rouge in both the look
because they were
and the
throwing
camera
craps
angles.
and stuff. They were gambling, playing poker and shit.
Mm-hmm. So the Cardinal shows up, and it's F. Murray Abraham. Everybody's in this crappy movie. And he, of course, he's very corrupt, and he says, fear is the church's greatest weapon. That's why we invented hell. And so it turns out, Robin finds out, that the church and the sheriff are actually funding the Arabs.
So that very American thing going on again in this
Yeah,
movie.
which I also kind of like. Both of you were dumbasses for fighting a holy war in the first place. So I'm really not on anybody's
Let's see,
side.
what was the
Doesn't
plan?
make me feel any
The
sympathy
plan
for
was-
the English people.
Pay the Arabs to defeat the English so that they could rise the ranks somehow. It was
I kind
very
of missed
confusing.
that part. It was confusing.
But-
So they wanted them to lose the war. I can't talk today. So, yeah, my notes get very thin here. The sheriff's men then decide to raid the slums as a way to punish the common folk because they don't want to pay.
Oh yeah, they
more of
take
the
the
tax.
mine and some other shit that nobody wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But
So this is where, unless there's something that happens before that, this is where the music mashup part happens.
is it though?
I don't know. Like I said, my notes get really thin. So what else happens at the big party with the
Sheriff
Cardinal?
bloodthirsty for lords and clergy. Let's see. God's up there, I'm down here. That was a good line.
Yeah.
That was just him talking shit to Friar Tuck. Like, just remember, God's up there, I'm down here.
Friar Tuck was cool. They didn't give him too much to do.
He was really dumb.
He was kind of dumb.
He was the dumb kid. Like, he's the friend of everybody, but he's just the dumb kid. They bring in the Crusaders that had shot Robin.
Yes, they
to-
come in as
to
basically
be-
security.
Yeah, to well, you guys are gonna catch the hood. God,
They wanna catch the hood.
Green Arrow. Archdeacon arrives.
The Cardinal.
Whatever. They're all the same to me. What even is the difference?
Cardinal's hot. Cardinal's like one step below the Pope.
Bitch Marion. Yeah, she is a bitch.
Okay, explain how she's a bitch.
I don't know. Oh, she was arguing with her new boyfriend, Big Dick Richie.
Okay.
Because basically...
because she and Friar Tuck are trying to conspire
Yeah, they
against...
stole some shit. Anyway, so he was like, I don't know what you're doing, but I know it wasn't legal.
So here's what it is.
And she was like blaming him.
She steals some documents that are written in Arabic, and they have the sheriff's signature on them. So she can't read what they say, but it basically goes back to what he said earlier is, yeah, we're actually funding the Arabs in the war. And so Big Dick Richie is just like, don't get involved. I have a political career. I'm like, do you, though? You live in the slums.
Well, even before that, he was just like, you're not
There's very
telling me
much
the
a class
truth.
system here. You're
And
not going to get ahead.
She was putting it on him like, well, you're not doing anything. Like, bitch, he had a point. You need to tell him, like, how did you get the keys? How'd you get the paper? You must have stolen it.
You see how muddled we are? This is how muddled this movie is.
Yeah, you start to lose track. Okay, so now is the time for music mashup.
Okay, so something happens and the sheriff is just like, let's raid the slums and burn it to the ground and they'll fear me. And so his goons go to the mines and they start beating people up. And, of course, there has to be the damsel in distress. So the commander, who was the one who had shot Robin, was like, I'm going to have fun with you later. So he takes her and he sticks her in a box on a cart. And at this point, the first time we watched the movie, I had gotten really frustrated and bored. And I said to AJ, this looks like a long chase scene is coming up. Let's play some music. Because otherwise it's just going to be boring and annoying.
And I think we had already established this thing that we do. Yeah, we've done it before. We had a few before this one, like Honey and Getting Gay with Kids. Anyway,
dance movies, fight movies, chase scenes,
training,
fighting. Play a funny song over it.
Yeah, just mute it and play a song for a montage. We got all the way through this song. If you watch it, you gotta do this. It was so. Right when their Little John has wrapped his hand in his stump in rope, and they're about to swing down onto the cart, that's exactly the moment we started playing Saturday Night's Alright, and we played the entire fucking thing. That's how long.
Yeah, Saturday Night's Alright for Fighting by Elton John and Bernie Taupin is about 4 minutes and 54 seconds-ish. And
That's
I think we
how
got
long
through...
this chase is.
We got through 4 minutes and 46 seconds. That is really long in movie time. And we've watched it twice now with the song over it. The chase scene is boring, but it's so much fun with the music. It syncs up perfectly.
It's perfect. It's the best one. It's got to be the best song we've ever done with the best movie that we've done it with.
I did like playing Shake It Fast by Mystical when we were watching the workout montage in Best of the Best.
Shake it fast. Watch yourself.
Shake it fast. Show me what you're working with. Quit your crying, heifer. I don't need all that.
With what's his name doing all them damn dips.
Yep. Anyway, so there's a big chase scene. Guess who wins?
I don't know. Who?
So... Well, Robin, shit blows up, horses fall off things.
There's so much fire.
There's so much fire.
The whole city is just, you'll be walking and you'll see a human just burst into flames because he walked over a manhole cover thing. And it's for no reason. It's not like there are forges going and like, I know it's a mining town, but...
It's not that, like, they're just, like, it looks like one of the scenes one of the levels in Sonic the Hedgehog where he was at, like, an oil field and there were just random flames.
I actually thought of the scene from King of the Hill with the medieval times dragon thing. Yeah. And they would shoot an arrow into its mouth and it would just... It was like that.
Yeah, so they capture Little John and then the poor people all come up with a plan. So... The goons and the sheriff are marching the war chest through the streets. They're going to send it off to Arabia to pay off their conspirators. And so the poor people hatch a plan. They steal the money. They set the town on fire. And this part's actually pretty good. So the sheriff takes John off to the church, basically. And he's like, I'm going to torture you. And I know what happens at the end, but there's something I'm missing in between.
So he's threatening Little John with pig's blood. No, it's not just torture. He says, I won't just torture you because I know what kind of person you are. You won't bend to torture because the thing separating humans from animals is their ability to question their the next life. But Arabs are a different beast. That's how he puts it, which what
Super
the
racist.
fuck, bro.
Yeah, we paused at that moment. I'm like, I can see in his eyes it's about to get really racist.
Yeah, it doesn't even make sense because, like, bro, you're a Christian. You think there's like an afterlife too because of your prophet thing. So fucking what? Anyway, so he's like, I'm going to put pig's blood in your mouth and burn your body so you'll never see your son in the next life, which. Fuck.
That's some next level fucked up stuff. I do like this guy as a villain.
He's pretty good.
He's pretty messed up. He's pretty dark and dirty.
So all of that, fuck. And during all that, that's when Robin's making his plan to go in and steal all the shit.
Yes, but Robin, in the meantime, this is like a Princess Leia saves Han Solo type of thing. He's dressed up as a guard, and he goes in and he shoots all the other guards. And John wraps a rope around a chain around the sheriff's neck. And he's like, oh, but I'm the sheriff of Nottingham. And Robin shoots up and is like, not anymore. And they hang him in the church. And so that's a pretty good visual of his ass in that long coat hanging up by all those stained glass windows. So the sheriff is done. He's dead.
They kept the coat, though.
Kept the coat.
The church, like, not Robin Hood, the church at some point must have cut him down, and the next guy that gets to be sheriff has the exact same suit.
So they got the money. So everybody wins in the end, and they're like, but this story ain't over. And then we see Big Dick Richie has ascended to... I don't even remember his name. Big Dick Richie has now ascended to the sheriff, and he's basically saying the same thing, like, oh, they hate our freedom. I'm going to have to tax all of you. So he's turned into...
got a big old red scar of burn on his face because he's the Hound now.
He's not as funny as the
No.
Hound.
Well, he got blown up a little bit when he saw Robin and Marion making out or something in a hole.
She kissed Robin to distract him from pulling an arrow out, and Richie saw it and was just understandably upset.
I've seen you! Leave me alone!
His name is Will. It says right here in my notes.
His name is Will?
His name is Will. It's not Big Dick Richie.
It's not Tom either, and you called him Tom earlier.
I just made that up.
Oh, okay, well, whatever.
So Will becomes the new sheriff, and he's holding up a poster, and he's like, oh, you have to get this guy, and then an arrow shoots through it, and Robin Hood's like, here we go again. And then
welcome to the big table. That's his last line. Like,
yeah.
Why don't you just shoot him in the face?
Because then they wouldn't have a sequel. So Robin and his friends all go off to Sherwood Forest, and they all start life anew. And so, yeah, basically that's it. And then the credits look very graphic novel-y.
Yeah,
So as jumbled as our explanation was, that's basically how the movie was. It wasn't as bad. Actually, the second time around, it wasn't as bad, and there were some things I appreciated about it. The sheriff was good. I like how dark and twisted he was. I like some of the modern-day comparisons they had to funding war and the propaganda to try to get people to fund the war.
I feel like normal people might still enjoy this. Like, it's a dumb popcorn movie.
It is a dumb
But
popcorn
we
movie.
look for, like, shit, so we get annoyed.
This is not a good movie. I feel sorry for people who paid like $15 to go see it.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's
but
not good.
I could see people just having fun with it. It's really dumb overall, except for the little bit of... There's a couple really cool lines from the villain, mostly, and the church people. And there's the slight commentary on the war stuff.
Yeah, and Robin Hood, they didn't try to make him look like, you know, the green outfit and the hat, and they really tried to make a different Robin Hood. He was a war veteran, he'd been a lord, so I appreciate them trying to do something different, even he basically looked like Sub-Zero. He had like a puffy leather jacket
like
and
this,
a hood.
but without camouflage.
Yeah.
I did like Taron Egerton and Jamie Foxx. Like, they were cool, because it's Taron Egerton and Jamie Foxx.
And Ben Mendelsohn he's always a good villain.
Yeah. Everything else, like Maid Marian, I didn't give a damn about. She's...
I mean, other than the damsel in distress locking her in a box, she was trying to be revolutionary and fight the power and all that stuff. So they did give her a little more depth than just a pretty female and love interest.
She had very pretty eyes. I'll give her that.
Mm-hmm. Good job, Bono. You made a daughter with pretty eyes. Okay, recommendations.
The fun part.
So I have 2 recommendations. If you want to see Taron Egerton in a good movie, watch Rocket Man, the musical biopic about Elton John, Sir Elton John. And also Disney's Robin Hood, the only Robin Hood movie you need to see, the 1973 animated film.
Yeah.
Mic drop, that's all you need to see.
I don't think there's a good live action one. Because I saw the Russell Crowe one, I remember it being boring.
And I've seen the Kevin Costner one, and it's not good either. Alan Rickman's just creepy and gross in it.
Kevin Costner.
Well, Alan Rickman's the sheriff of Nottingham, and he's gross.
Oh, the one good Robin Hood is Men in Tights.
Yeah.
Anyway, so mine is, like we mentioned before, The Lies of Locke Lamora, or the Gentleman Bastard series.
The book series.
The book series.
Which has not been made into a movie,
because
unfortunately.
It's amazing, and the aesthetic is really interesting. It's very Renaissance-ish, but, like, there's alchemy, but it's not like people at home, like, brewing shit in the mirror. It's like their version of manufactured goods.
Mm-hmm. And the writing is very good too, and Scott Lynch does the best cliffhanger scenes. It's like watching a movie when you read these scenes, especially the fight scenes, or it's a setup for a fight scene.
And
just
they
good
have
writing.
perfect cutaways. Like every cutaway to when the characters are younger or whatever, it's all perfect, and it's very original. Okay, there's that, and also, if you want something that's more about the Crusades, Dante's Inferno, the animated movie, and I will warn you, you gotta pay attention to people's names because you're gonna get confused with all the different animation styles. It was very cool, but they kept changing animation style, like that was the whole point. Like
each level of hell was a different animation style. It was a different artist or something.
And that means that like they designed the characters differently. Like they did the same thing with it was some Batman movie. I won't even try to think of the name, but
was it the 3-part one?
Yeah, it was like 3 or 4 parts. And each one was a different Japanese director.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. Dante's Inferno is based off the game, not off the original storyline, but there's a lot of stuff about him being in the Crusades, and there's some really fucked up shit. So those are my 2 recommendations. I think those are my only 2.
Yeah, I didn't have any other ones. So how to find us, we're on Discord or Twitch or whatever this is.
Both.
YouTube, both. We're on YouTube. We're on Instagram, Movie Painter Pleasure Podcast, so you can see pictures of us and videos. Our audio is on Anchor, Spotify, and iTunes. Don't join a major religion. They all do dumb things in their name. Instead, join our cult and be my victim.